Hello, it's good to see you again. Here we are, back in church. I'm sitting here in the nursery, a place that you know. Just imagine yourself here as you would maybe on a Sunday morning and during the time when we gather for church and to be God's people together. We are still, of course, even though we can't get together in the same space, but in our hearts and minds and in God's eyes, we are together. Today, I want to talk about sheep for a little bit. Our gospel story for our church service today is about sheep and Jesus being the Good Shepherd. About 2 years ago, I got to go visit in England. And one of the things that England has a lot of is sheep. And they're kind of everywhere. If you go out sort of walking on the paths and different places where it's okay to go hiking, oftentimes you're walking right through a field where the sheep are, which is totally fine. And they just kind of mosey away and don't get in your way, and you kind of don't get in their way, and it's all okay. One of the things that happens though is, of course, the sheep, their wool is growing on them, right? And sometimes their wool gets kind of caught maybe in a fence or on a stick by a bush or something. And some of their wool will kind of tear off and it's almost like they're shedding in a way. And you can pick it up. And look at, this is all wool that I got from sheep in the fields in England. You can see some of it is a dark color. This one's kind of in between, and some more white. And I got a whole bag here. And then when I was in Scotland, I got this wool. It's got a little different feel because it's a different kind of sheep. So when we were hiking, I would stop and I would pick these up and keep them in my little bag. And it's funny, sometimes I would just get kind of distracted, and that's all I was doing, looking around for the little bits of wool maybe caught on a fence or something. And it's where the term wool gathering comes from, because I was gathering wool, but it kind of took my mind off of other things. So if you're ever kind of spacing off and someone says, well, are you just wool gathering there? That's what they're talking about. Anyway, so these sheep are all out in the field and they're all kind of together. And the time comes when they have to be separated out and go back to their owners. And of course they have like tags on them and numbers and stuff, so everybody knows exactly who it is. But these sheep know the ones who love them and who will keep them safe. And they know it by voice. And that's the story that Jesus is telling in the gospel story for today, that the sheep know the shepherd's voice. They know that when they hear that voice calling them, that they are going home. They're going where they're going to be warm and fed, where they're going to be safe. And Jesus wants us to know that when we listen for his voice and when we answer his calling, that we can know that we will be warm and safe and home. Now, you say, all right, so how do I know his voice? I don't know what Jesus' voice sounds like. I know what my mom's voice sounds like, or my dad's, or my grandparents, or maybe one of my favorite teachers. I know what that voice sounds like, and I like that voice. I know that I'm safe with that voice, but how do I know Jesus' voice? Well, the way that we get to know Jesus' voice is listening to the Bible stories, learning the things that mattered to Jesus. We learn about Jesus' voice through the prayers that we say, the stories we read, the songs we sing, and what we learn from those adults and other people around us who love Jesus and who are willing to talk to us about Jesus. And that's how we get to know that voice. And we get to understand what is important. Listening as if we're listening to Jesus telling it to us. And as we do that more and more over time, it becomes more familiar to us. And we can know when it's Jesus speaking, maybe through another person, through a song or a prayer. And that voice means home to us. it means safety, and it means love. Because we are like Jesus' sheep, and he is our shepherd. And what matters most in the whole wide world to Jesus is that we are safe and cared for. So whenever you see a little picture of a sheep or something, remember, you are one of Jesus' sheep, and he calls your name and loves you. Take care and be good to one another. Stay safe during this time when there's such a nasty sickness going around. And remember, we're going to be okay because Jesus is our shepherd and calls us to our home.